WJG Sports. We journal great.
What's up, everybody? This is the Just Like Brothers podcast, episode number 51. After an hour of figuring out Zoom, we finally got on the air. My name is Laika Abibi, as always, here in Greenville. My man Kai Jones, he's here in He's in Goldsboro, of course. And our guest today, Wake Tech assistant men's basketball coach Juwann Baker, also runs the Triangle Challenge. Juwann, thank you for joining us, man.
Yes, sir. No doubt, man. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Coach, we'll get right into it. How long have you been in the coaching game, and how did you get your start in the coaching game?
Yeah, so I've been probably coaching since about maybe 2011, 2012. I got my start by a guy that I had played AAU with when I was a teenager, about 12, 13 years old. George Smith, he goes by Scooter. If you familiar with, travel basketball in North Carolina, you know who Scooter is. So I started with him. He had a program called the Carolina Elite. Me and a couple of my buddies, we ended up working with like the 15U team that summer and ended up kind of branching off a year or so later and started doing the Red Storm. So that's how I got my start with the AAU. And then moving on, a couple of years later, I ended up getting an opportunity with Coach Daryl Harris out in Durham at Bull City Prep Academy. So got a chance to work with Coach Harris. He runs a great program, man. I always tell him whenever I talk to him how much I appreciate him for, giving me an opportunity. AAU was cool, but, I wanted to also get my foot in the door on like a school level and having a chance to do some prep and post-grad basketball was big for me, at like mid-20s. So I did that and then went on and had an opportunity. Coach B, Brian Clifton, gave me a chance to work with Coach B. That's my guy. Worked with the JV and a little bit with the varsity over at Word of God. And then from there ended up, transitioning and having an opportunity to go on to the junior college level. All this while still doing AAU, man. I've probably been, coaching for about good 8 or 9 years now.
Gotcha, Coach. So when you look at all of your experiences, what was it like trying to climb that ladder?
It's tough, man. It still is. And it was tough, honestly, back then, like when I started, and I'll reference and say we a few times, throughout the call because, it was me and a couple of, my better friends growing up that kind of got into it together. When I started, it was just tough because I was so young, young in the game. Like this is like early to mid-20s. So it was tough because people really wouldn't, take you serious, in a sense. So, man, it was just hard getting people to take you serious. And then from there, once they kind of realized and I got more experience and more years in and showing up more, people seeing and getting familiar with my face, around youth basketball. I think it got a little easier to navigate, but it's still tough, man, because it's just all about, who honestly, the network and the connections that you have. It's still, it's challenging to move around and position yourself a lot of times the way you want to, but, I still, I enjoy it, man. I'm going to get there.
When you look at it, do you think it's easier for younger guys to break into it versus older guys to break into it?
No question. Absolutely. I was talking to a coaching colleague of mine probably last year sometime. He was getting ready to make a move. He's a young guy, and I was telling him, I always say, like, it's easier for younger guys just because to get your foot in the door at a lot of these levels, you got to basically start at, like, the ground level or entry-level position, which, pays nothing, in a sense. So when you're young, for instance, man, if you don't have a family, you don't have a lot of responsibilities, financial things, tying you down. It's easier to get in then because you can take that ground level position, that pays next to nothing, grind that for a couple of years and then, get some doors open for you. And then by the time you're a little bit older, you hopefully in a situation where you can coach and do some things that you can take care of yourself and your responsibilities, but still do something that you love. So I believe 100%, man, to get involved, it's best to do it at a younger age.
Right. I think that's just with a lot of professions. It's easier when you're younger because you have less responsibilities, and you can take less of. You don't have to coop in much of the financial. You can kind of wait on that part to get the experience.
No doubt. Absolutely. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
It's got to really be. It's really got to be in a place. Like when I look at it, a lot of times when you look at even the media business related to the coaching business, when you look at it, if you have a family who's more able to support you and support your dreams, and you take those unpaid internships in New York versus having to work and try to figure out a way to get your foot in the door.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, when you're trying to get your foot in the door, you gotta grind and work like that's your full-time, thing. Like that's all that you're doing. Sometimes you gotta travel. You gotta be able to go here or go there, and do certain things, man. And you working a job, you got a family at home or you got other things and responsibilities. There's not always time and room for that, to be able to put forth the kind of grind that you got to put forth to even get, knock down some doors, man. But, I definitely believe that, if you're a little bit younger and you don't have those things, man, and you pretty much got that type of freedom, go for it, man, because by the time you get in there, it doesn't take but knowing the right, one or two people, rubbing the right shoulders and, showing that you knowledgeable and willing to put in that work. If 2-3 years down the line, you don't know where you'll be in terms of like a stepping stone. And all it takes is one shot, man, that can project you into a career in this thing. So,
I want to get to the Triangle Challenge a little bit. How did that get started, and how much has it grown over the last few years?
Yeah, that's my baby, man. The Triangle Challenge. I think we started in 2015. It started with an idea. So I was working and still do over at the Teen Center in Raleigh Boulevard, which is a division of girls club. My club director at the time, Chris Cook, he's a Division I college football coach right now. We were just kind of talking about some different programs and ideas. We were talking about a summer basketball tradition that, that's big back in Raleigh. It's the St. Aug Summer League. So I can remember even as a kid, man, like watching my dad play, guys that were, big time high school guys when he was playing, back in like the 70s playing and so forth and so on. Even in my childhood, watching Vince Carter play, Rasheed Wallace play, Ed Cota from Carolina. Yeah. So from Raleigh, or you from the area, you know about the St. Aug Summer League. So I just always wanted to offer something for the high school, kids and the high school level that could be kind of comparable to that, over time, and have where some of the best kids, best players will come and play. And, even some of the area guys that you don't know nothing about, they'll be playing and end up going up against, somebody you do know and making a name for themselves, man. It was like a blend of like the St. Aug Summer League and then like what you see when you look at summer leagues in New York out at the parks and things like that. I wanted to create something like that for high school kids specifically in this area. And we started in 2015 with 8 teams. And then, I think this will be going into either the 5th or 6th year coming up. And it took off like year 2 or 3. It really took off, man. And, man, if you ain't never been to the Triangle Challenge, you got to come to the Teen Center one summer and see what it's all about, man. It's where it's at.
Right. When you look at that, how important do you think that's kind of been to the culture of NC high school basketball since it started?
I think it's been very important, man, and very relevant at the same time, just because, word kind of gets out and now you got guys from all over the state, that have come and at least, participated, if not the whole season, but, at least for a certain amount of games. There's been kids of every level that have played in it from, guys that's going pro and guys that's playing in the ACC, Division I, all the way on down. And I think really it's important just because if you look at the way the high school basketball is going now in terms of like the different platforms and things that are out there and the way is being pushed, man. Just the culture. When you talk about culture, that atmosphere at the Triangle Challenge, man, is something that you really, you only gonna get that at like a rivalry high school game or something. You talking about wall to wall, standing room only, guys standing on the court, it's loud and music going, and it's very relevant because kids want to come, from Durham or Greensboro or Wilmington or Goldsboro and wherever and play. Even the Farmville kids came down and played. They all the way, 2 hours away. So I think it's very relevant and important to the culture. Kids look forward to the Triangle Challenge every year.
When you look at it now, how is the kind of like the selection process of getting in, or is there a selection process? I should ask.
So it was a selection process. It's kind of going to look a little bit different going forward, which is another conversation. But just over the past, I usually just try to like reach out to some of the influential coaches and people in the area that I knew, had access to new kids that could get the kids excited about it. Coach Black from Jews, Coach Lamont. I know he was on here a while ago. That's my guy, Coach Lamont. And other guys, Coach B, Coach Clifton, and get those guys just to kind of form teams. And whoever it is that they select and put on their team, whether it's a team they got or some kids that they know, just getting the opportunity to put those guys together and sign up and join the league as a team. And then you'll have kids that don't know those coaches and who aren't a part of those teams that we just do like a sign up. It's an open sign up, you know what I mean? And then we just cap it. Once we have the number of kids that we need, that we can't get any more, we'll just cap it at that. And then we play.
What was probably, been one of the crazier moments that happened there?
I'm gonna stick to the more positive, crazier moments, man. It's been quite a few where it made the league authentic, man. But some of the more positive, crazier moments were like Jay Huff playing, Jay Huff at UVA coming in, 7 foot, guy coming to an area where it's, predominantly, minorities, African American kids, man, coming through in the layup lines. And these kids, these people, they probably haven't never seen Jay Huff before, or been to a high school game at Voyager, but going through the layup lines at 7 foot, man, going through the legs, windmill and stuff like that, just getting excited, going out and playing really well. Some other moments, man, I think the very first year you had Rob Kalan in the semifinals playing on the team with Roger Ray, playing against Jamaru Brown on the other team, hitting a buzzer beater shot, people running all over the floor. I still got the video from that, man. Game-winning shot after game-winning shot. There's been tons of moments at the Triangle Challenge that people remember.
I mean, you've had a lot of really good players come through over the last several years. I mean, obviously this past summer when I went, of course, Josh Hall, who's just entered the NBA draft, and Justin Wright was there, like you mentioned earlier. And really just like seeing all of that talent in one little space. And it felt like 5,000 people were in the teen center when it wasn't as much, but it's what is the atmosphere like at the Triangle Challenge every weekend and week?
It's nuts, man. It's nuts. Like I said, they look forward to that. The area, the part of town that is in, I think for those players who kind of like have a name, or, the high school kids, they know each other, they know who's really good. They know who's who. So I think the area that it's in, just to be able to play those games there, it's centrally located, so it's easily accessible. A lot of people can get there. But just that side of town, man, you don't typically see those kids over there in that neighborhood. So I think the atmosphere, man, is just exciting because it's like it's an outdoor, old school, vibe. You got music first and foremost. It's tight in there. It's hot. It's hot.
No, I know. I remember that. Yeah, I was sweating like I should not have worn dark clothing that day.
Man, that's the number one complaint I get. But it's crazy, man. It's just a summertime, park style, vibe, rivalry, type of vibe, rivalry amongst the kids, man. Back when I played, we would play in similar leagues, man, and like we would talk junk to each other, and show up and play because we wanted to compete. I think the thing about it that makes it as exciting and makes the vibe what it is that, man, them kids get in there and they compete. Like they're getting after it and they want to show each other up. So I think all of that, man, goes into what makes the atmosphere what it is.
You talk about park style. Are you actually from New York?
No, but a lot of people ask me that. I don't know, about the inflection voice, but no, I'm not, man. That's just the way I talk. And I promise I'm not doing it on purpose. People ask me that all the time. That's just the way I talk.
Yeah, you do kind of got that, that boom bap rapper sound,
Boom bap, original rap.
Yeah.
But getting into a little bit more on the college side, what has the experience been like at Wake Tech coaching there?
It's been great, man. I've been enjoying myself, at Wake Tech for the last couple of seasons. It's just getting the opportunity to coach the game, at that level. It's still college basketball. Junior college basketball kind of has a stigma where, sometimes people don't appreciate it and look at it as, still being college, but it is. So, it's an opportunity to coach at the college level, to work with, what are men now. These guys aren't 16, 17 years old. These are grown men. And just getting the opportunity to coach at that level, and coach the college game, learn the college game, and learn some things that are different than the high school game. It's been a good experience. I really enjoyed myself, man. And I work with and work for a great head coach over there who's taught me a lot and shown me a lot and given me, some room and freedom to grow as a coach. And it's been really good. I appreciate, him for the opportunity. And I think, it's been positive overall.
Honestly, go ahead, Kyle. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
I was going to say, what was probably the most difficult part of the transition from being a high school coach to now coaching at the JUCO level?
That was going to be my next question.
In terms of coming from high school to JUCO, I would probably say the hardest part is just like the grind of it. Having a travel basketball background, I've always been someone who really grinded it. Just the grind of it, man. You game, 2 or 3 teams from Virginia in our league, 4.5 hours away, and then still working, you know what I mean? So, having to just really grind, man, it's a lot of late nights, getting back and 1 and 2 in the morning, you still got to go and work the next day. I think the biggest adjustment, man, was just kind of getting back to the grind of it. High school is a grind, but, you might go 10 miles down the road to play, this high school, or you might go, 5 minutes down the street and play this school. You know what I mean? It's just a little bit different, but that's probably been the most difficult transition for myself.
Now, when you look at college, what was, and I know you're probably, a big part of the recruiting process. What was it like, going from the part of trying to help kids develop and get, to the next level versus now you're trying to find those kids at the next level, and then now also still trying to get them to another level?
It's not really that big of a difference for me, just because, like I said, the AAU background, but really just kind of because it's the junior college level where I'm at. It's a springboard. It's a platform ultimately to kids that's trying to be able to get to a 4-year school. So all those things that, apply, with trying to help a high school kid, those things really still kind of apply at JUCO, to be honest, man. Like, you still have some kids that are, a little raw, or some kids that need to tweak this or tweak that. You got to still put that time in there, in the gym or the weight room, in the classroom, and develop them in those areas to be able to get them, to where they're going to have a chance to be successful at a 4-year school, because that's a totally different transition and a totally different level. But it's still kind of the same to me, because I still look at it for myself kind of like a preparation stage. At high school, you're trying to help kids and you're trying to help them prepare to be able to get to, the JUCO or the college. And JUCO is the same thing. We're still prepping and trying to get those guys ready to go on to their next spot, which would, unless they go on and play pro, would be their last, place.
Right. And then when you look at it too, talk about your AAU days. I know a lot of AAU coaches talk about the recruitment or trying to find their guys. Is there a difference between your AAU recruiting pitch versus your JUCO recruiting pitch?
Yeah, there's a lot more academics in that conversation.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot more talk about academics in that conversation, man. And you have to know, and this kind of applies to the last question you asked me too. You got to kind of know the differences. You got to kind of know some information and some facts about the school. Like the parents and the players, they're going to want to hear about the basketball piece, but also now we're talking about a college education, whether it be, your associate's degree or, you getting credits and transferring to your 4-year. They want to know, information about the school. What type of programs do you offer? What resources do you guys have in terms of academics? When I was recruited for AAU, we're just talking about basketball and resources that can help you, with basketball opportunities, unless you're somebody that's moving, through different high schools. But when it comes to college, the biggest difference is there's a lot more academic conversation, because, you can't play at college without academics. To be honest, you can play AAU without grades, as we know, all day long. But, you can't play in college, and you can't go on to another college without, having that academic component. So I think that's the biggest part and the difference in the conversation when I go out and recruit, or I'm talking to parents and players.
Coach, when you look at it as well, something that a lot of people don't really know is the difference in the scholarships that people can offer. Can you kind of break down what's kind of the difference in the JUCO scholarship to what everyone knows as, the NCAA Division I scholarships and things of that nature?
So in terms of junior college, it really depends. So I could just speak kind of like about where I am. You'll get a scholarship budget, like athletic aid, and we can kind of do however we choose to divide that, or, offer somebody a certain amount of a dollar amount in money. We can do with that whatever, we want to do. So if our tuition is, a set number, and tuition and books, and then we can offer somebody enough athletic aid that it could cover their tuition and books, that's like a full scholarship. Because in North Carolina, the community colleges, except for like one, I want to say that's private, they don't have dorms. So that's a full scholarship, paying for your tuition and books. But some community colleges, they don't have athletic aid, or they don't offer athletic aid. So, you might see somebody saying, I got an offer, to go here, but, that's not really specific, because that's just the word offer, but that may not necessarily even mean you getting athletic money from the basketball program or from the athletic department. So the way we kind of do it is, we award athletic aid based on, how we decide as a staff that we want to issue that out. And then it's kind of like almost like a Division II thing. We break it down and we use what we can based on who we feel like, is in the most need, or, the most deserving of whatever amount. And we just divide it up, kind of like how Division II does.
I feel like I'm sorry. I feel like, speaking of offer, I feel like that word it's like a similarity and a difference type thing. Like if you get offered by a junior college or like Division II or Division III, it's like pretty much saying you got offered a spot on the team. Like it doesn't really mean like offered a scholarship, Is that? Am I right to think that way, or what do you think about that?
Yeah, partially in some cases. So like I was saying, let's just say our tuition at my community college. This isn't true, but let's just say it was $5,000 for the year. If I had, if we have athletic aid and I wanted to give a kid $5,000 in athletic aid, that would cover his tuition and books. That's like a full scholarship, because he's not coming out of pocket for tuition and he's not having to take out, loans for tuition. That's a full scholarship. So to me, when you say offer in that sense, that's still kind of like an offer, even though it's JUCO, because, you're not paying. But yeah, a lot of times, man, and it's crazy out here because it's kind of like, this is like a look at me, era and generation, man. And, just being able to kind of say, offer, I got an offer, kids would be like, some kids that I even know, that know me even outside of basketball before Wade Tech, they'd be like, yo, offer me. Just to be able to say, I got an offer, that word doesn't mean anything. And I think more and more people are, starting to find out, you either got to be real specific, or, there's not really a lot of value to that word offer, man. I think me personally, I think the value is in signing something, you know what I mean? And actually going somewhere and doing something productive, rather than just being able to put up and edit. But, there's a different time and generation. The kids have fun with it. So I don't say that for them to not have fun with it. But that word, man, is just so broad now and overused. An offer could mean you got a spot. Like I've done that too, offer you. But that just means, you got a spot if you want to come here. You're not getting any money. So it could mean two totally different things, man.
Yeah.
Right. And see what a lot of people, because even I've talked to some kids about, JUCOs who are not even D2s or D3 JUCOs, but what a lot of them fail to realize is just because it's a D3 JUCO doesn't necessarily mean that's a bad thing, because for one, when you look at it, you could go to that level, and if you got the right financial aid in a certain situation, you could come out pocketing money, just like the same thing of going to a D2. And then you got some D2s that don't really let you pocket your financial aid money as well.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare, man.
Oh, did you have something else, Juwann?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that's rare, to the comment Kai made about D2s letting you keep your, pocket your money, and he's right. Every situation is different. I think kids gotta kind of get caught up in the name, or like, what people's perspective or their perspective of, a school or a program. But when you look at a situation, man, that's important too. Like, financially, like, can I afford this if I have to come out of pocket? Am I going to have to go into debt, to be able to play here? Or is there another situation where it won't cost me as much, or, it's as close to free as possible? I'm a believer, man, that, in my era, I believe that, to a certain degree, if you can play, they'll find you. So if you out there and you making noise and you just doing, absolute dog stuff and putting up numbers, I don't believe the way college recruiters, are set up, they're supposed to go and find. So I don't think that, everybody will miss you if you out there doing stuff that can't be overlooked.
Absolutely, Coach. Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about not just Wake Tech basketball, but just Region 10 as a whole. How difficult is Region 10, and what do you think about some of the programs that you guys face every night?
I'm glad you asked me that, man. I definitely wanted to be able to speak on that. That's a great question. The Region 10 is tough, and the Region 10, in my mind, doesn't get enough credit, for how good the basketball is. Coaches recruit our league, man. They really do. We get a lot of slack from, I guess you could say bigger JUCOs, Midwest, Deep South, and stuff like that. Just in terms of like, they offer some different things we don't, but just in terms of the basketball play, like in AAU and some certain players I've coached, I've seen basketball regionally and nationally So basketball is basketball. In terms of the play, it's up there. I would put it up there with anybody. If we said take 10 kids, the best 10 kids out of Region 10, and we go and play other regions, they'll compete, man, and they'll win some games just because the league is good. It's filled with good coaches, and it's a lot of talent throughout, man. This year coming up, if you don't catch a game, you're going to be very disappointed, man, because a lot of the schools went out and they went hard, man, and, in terms of recruiting and got some good pieces. They got some good guys returning. I think the league this year is going to be almost as good as, maybe it's been, as long as I've been there in my few years. It's going to be tough, man. These are quality programs. These are quality coaches that get the most out of the players, that could coach, at many other levels of college, not just, JUCO.
Yeah.
And I think the league is tough, man. Every year, Davidson's good, Lewisburg's good. All of them are good. We beat each other up every year. Catawba Valley, Fayetteville, we beat each other up every year, and that's why the conference tournament is so fun. Because to be honest, it's anybody's game. Every time it rolls around, because you take wins in the league. And, man, it's tough, man. But I enjoy it. I like that competition.
Coach, one of your recruits that you got coming in your signing class, of course, he's in the WJG area, Devin Brown. Talk a little bit about him and his game and some things that you saw in him and some things that you're looking forward to improving and what kind of presence he also has.
Yeah, Devin was a big piece for us, man. I worked hard on that cat, man. He's a big time piece, and hopefully he's gonna come in and live up to expectations, man, and play a large role for us. At one of the front court positions. The thing I liked about Devin is, I like Devin's motor. Devin goes hard. He plays hard. He's active. He gets a lot done. I like his size, obviously. I like the way that he rebounds the ball for his position. He plays defense without fouling, in the games that I've watched him. And that's big, for a post player to be able to play defense and challenge shots and guard, without fouling. Those are some of the things that I really liked about him. Some of the things that, I really want to try and work with him on, and us as a staff, help him improve. It's just, getting a couple of go-to moves that are consistent, that, we throw it in there to him. He's as close to automatic as can be with those moves, and efficient. And then, just being in the top shape, getting your body, where it needs to be. He's a big guy, but, once he puts on, some muscle and, his athleticism continue to increase and things like that, I think Devin has the potential. It's up to him with his hard work, but I think he has the potential to go on and play at a quality, 4-year school, at some level. I'm not going to put it in a box, but at some level, and be effective, man.
Right. So Coach, how do you find guys? Like what is kind of your go-to in recruiting?
Good question.
What was that?
No,
I said, what's your go-to in kind of recruiting? Not giving away too many Easter eggs to your competition, but just a little bit of how you do it.
I can't give them everything, man. But it's really it's I go and watch, man. Like I'm a gym rat, in the sense of like working out, doing the workout stuff and the skill stuff. But I just love to be in the gym. To be honest, man, that's my safe place. So I hate to keep reverting back to AAU, but it's nothing for me to sit in the gym for 8 hours. That's what I come from. So to go sit and watch a game, please, sign me up all day. I go and watch a lot. I spent a lot of time in the gym this winter. I got out early, went and watched a lot of guys, in the fall. I'll go to practices. But really just being in the gym and just looking for some specific things that I think people need at certain spots to be successful, or, at least a base and a foundation to be able to just add stuff to, to project them as far as they can go. I also like to rely on relationships. Relationship business. So I also, try to target and look at kids that I know somebody, that is connected or that knows them, to be blind calling and, trying to reach out and, go after kids that there's no connection there. You almost, in a sense, wasting your time, in a lot of situations because kids going to go, coach is going to rely on somebody they're comfortable with. Kids going to listen to their high school coach or their parents or their AAU coach or their friend. So really, I rely on relationships as well. If I know somebody personally, I have a relationship with somebody that has coached or knows, the kid, then that's a bonus. And that's something that I also look for. The biggest thing that I look for is just that mentality, man. Like I want to win. And I want kids that, almost in a sense want to win at all costs. Everybody ain't going to dive on the floor. Everybody ain't going to put their body on the line and take a charge, put their chest in front of the ball and hit the floor. Everybody ain't going to get out and guard, when you need to stop. Those are toughness things, man, and mentality, just a fight. A fight and an edge on your shoulder. I'm looking for those guys, when I'm recruiting, man, because when stuff gets, thick, that's who you need to win.
How much, what is the vetting process like for you before you extend an offer to kids?
It's really just making contact, and, first and foremost, seeing if there's a mutual interest. Wanting a kid that wants you back at the same time, that's important too. Then also, seeing if they're fit, for how we play or how we want to play. That's also important. And then just having conversations, knowing who that kid is as a person, making sure that, they're not a butthole type of person, Because, you got that, man, and you don't want to get involved, with something that, at the end of the day, it's going to be a headache or, it's most likely not going to work out. It's time invested, and that's something that you can't get back. So before we go all the way down this road, I need to kind of see who you are, so that I can know in my gut, this probably not the one for us, or, hey, I think this could be a good pairing, a good match. Because that's what it is ultimately. It's got to be a fit with the coaches, the player, the program, the school. So those are some things that I look at before we say, hey, we want to offer you this or offer you that.
I only laughed at the way you said that because we had on our last episode, we had our first F-bomb. One of the coaches dropped the F-bomb. So
look, I really want to cuss, but I'm trying to stay appropriate.
I
don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I feel you, Coach. I feel you.
I wanted to say.
No, I see it. But Coach, just Wake Tech as a whole, the program, what have been the keys to how much success the program has had in your time there?
I think it started with dedication, man. Like Coach Wainwright, if you guys don't know Coach Wainwright, Adam Wainwright, Coach Wainwright, man, dedicated. He's a dedicated coach. He goes the extra mile. He puts the time into that program like that's all he's doing. And that's not all he's doing. That's something that I admire about him. But just the dedication to being good, I think is something that has helped us be successful over the last few years. I think, quality coaching staff over the last few years. We've had a number of different coaches that, whatever our strengths were, we tried to apply that, and that was in different areas a lot of times. But when you put it all back together, it was good for the benefit of the program. So I think dedication, our coaching staff, and then to be honest, man, what's a program without the kids? We've had some good kids. You know what I mean? We've had some good players, some good students, some good families that have supported us, and that's taken us a long way. I'm not playing. Coach isn't playing. The AD isn't playing. So at the end of the day, them kids going to class, they're doing their work. They're working hard in practice, and they playing and they performing. So I think, a combination of those three things are what has helped us to have some success over the last couple of years, but we're definitely not satisfied.
Right. When you look at it, you have a really good coaching staff. You know, we just had Coach Rex on, Coach Wainwright you were just talking about. What do you think is the key to be a good assistant coach?
That's a great question, man. And I take pride in that. I felt like I told one of my childhood friends, I was always his assistant at AAU, you know, for the most part. And I told him I felt like, you know, I know that's something I brag about. I know how to be an assistant. I think it takes to be a good assistant, man. You know, you got to be humble, first and foremost, just because, you know, you gotta be able to support your coach, even in times where, you know, you may not agree, you know, with a decision that's being made. You got to be able to support your coach. So I think, you know, just kind of being humble, and knowing how to operate within, you know, your role, but still be effective. I think that's something important to being an assistant. I think, you know, just grind. You know, to be a good assistant, man, you got to make life easier for your head coach. You know what I mean? So, like, the head coach has got all these different responsibilities, man, and being a good assistant, I think, you know, making life easier for your head coach. Sometimes taking initiative, doing stuff, you know, that you know need to be done without having to ask, you know, showing up early, you know, staying late, things like that, man, just contributing. You can't be dead weight. You know, you got to bring some value. So that's another thing that I think is important, you know, is just bringing value, showing up every day. But the main thing is just making life easier for your head coach.
Have you had any have you had any funny or embarrassing moments as a coach?
At Wake Tech,
or just in general, if you have any.
Yeah, my embarrassing moments are getting my ass kicked. You know, having seasons or games where, you know, we got blowed out or we didn't do well. That's embarrassing, you know what I mean, to me, in itself. If I could think of like a time or a story or something specific that happened, man, maybe like forgetting a play or something. I know there was one time this year we were doing scout and we were going over to scout and we were playing and we were scouting for a team. We were playing against a team that there was a kid on our team who transferred from there. And we were going over to scout. I was doing the scout, and there was a play we were going over. And the way that I was telling it to him, the kid was looking at me like, "Nah, that ain't right, coach. It go like this." And then he went and took over and showed me how to do it. And I just kind of put my head down, man, and went over to the side and let him take over. I was like, "Shit, I got called out by a 19-year-old, man." That's probably the thing that's happened.
So he called you out in practice and like ran it, or like
yeah. He was like, "Nah, coach." He was like, "Nah, that ain't right. It go like this." And then went out there and showed me exactly how it's supposed to be done in front of the whole team. So,
dang.
That was pretty embarrassing. I played it off real cool, but it was kind of embarrassing. I felt that. I felt that one deep. Yeah, man.
Well, you know what? At least you had a player who knew the play well enough to correct you.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I was okay with it. It hurt my pride a little bit, but you know, I was all right. I got a good relationship with that kid, so he didn't make me feel too bad about it. But you know, still, I don't like being wrong, man. Coaches don't like being wrong. So
I've seen. Hey, that's very true among like just about every coach I know. Like the coach is always right. You know what I mean? Like I feel like every coach kind of has that a little bit. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So you feel where I'm coming from?
Yeah, exactly. I see. Yeah, I see it. I see it, man.
You know, you talk about coaches being wrong. How crazy do you think it is that, you know, say 3 or 4 people can come into the gym, you know, and see basketball in 3 or 4 completely different directions? Like, how crazy do you think that is? You know, let's get on some philosophy type thing here.
It is, but it's not. You know what I mean? Because I think everybody's basketball experiences shape their perspective on what they're looking at, when they're watching basketball. So I think that, one person's experiences or, the things, that they learn or their methods, that the way they go about things could be totally different, from what another person is seeing, when they're coming in and watching, whether if it's a practice or game, that's a little bit different. But I think people's experiences just kind of shape, their outlook or their perspective on the game. We could be watching. It's not crazy to me that, we could be watching the same game and seeing two totally different things.
Yeah. One of the things I think about a lot about that is when you look at it and people say, well, I can't believe this school offered this guy, or I can't believe this guy is really got this offer from that guy. I mean, what is it like, kind of from a coach's standpoint, kind of sitting back and looking at how offers come in?
Looking at how offers come in and like terms of like justifying it, or
well, I mean, because a lot of things that a lot of people say about a lot of college coaches is the fact of they recruit off of what other people who are in their respective conference recruit off of, kind of in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, me personally, and it's not a discredit, man, but I just kind of feel like a lot of times, regardless, man, like just because somebody's at a certain level, again, like I said, relationship business, man, you don't know how they got to that point. But a lot of times, man, I feel like, some guys just kind of really don't know what they're looking at. You know what I mean? In a sense, like if you look at it from a perspective of like, look at like John Morant, or like somebody that went to like a mid-major school that didn't have 20 high majors knocking down their door. But I'm sure those same coaches saw that kid play and they didn't think that, for our situation, maybe he was good enough, to play here, but somebody else did. And then that kid ended up being, light years ahead of where you thought that he actually, could be as a player. So I think, man, a lot of times people just, they might not really know what it is that they're looking at. And then I think too, it's specific to like what you want out of your program or what you want out of that position. Like if you're recruiting a point guard and at your school, for the way you guys play your style, you need the point guard to be able to do A, B, and C. I think it's just kind of like what your preference is in terms of saying, well, dang, how did that kid get to this school? Is what your preference is, man. That could be, your school might have a certain level of grades you got to meet, or, you might have a certain style that you want to play. There's a lot of things that go into it, man. And that's just background information that on the face of it, everybody doesn't always know the background information as to what, goes into that particular program or that, that coach's style that determines what they want, out of a player or a position. So, but as far as like coaches, that's something that frustrates me. Like I see it all the time. Like a kid will have no offers, no D1, let's just say D1, no D1 offers. He'll get 2, and then everybody else in the league will call. You know what I mean? That's weird to me. It works like that, but that's weird to me, man, because it's like, dang, well, it took this dude in your league to say, all right, he's good enough to play here, for you to pick up the phone and say, hey, I was just calling about such and such, what's his recruitment like? Or, I mean, I think, guys gotta, if they know what they're looking at and they know what they're talking about, you just gotta trust your own eyes, man. And that's what I try to do. I just try to trust my eyes based on my experiences and what I know that, I value when I'm recruiting.
Right. And, I got to think, it's probably really frustrating as a college coach when a lot of times you do go on a limb, make the first offer to a kid, you recruit them heavy, and then somebody just comes in who barely recruited them and they take them.
It is, but also you kind of, that just goes back to like, trusting your eyes, really knowing, sorry about that, and really knowing, like, you gotta kind of know too, because just like anything else, like there's levels, right? So you gotta kind of know, like, even if you are the first to get in on a kid, like, the level of basketball you playing on. You know, in terms of like a school, academically, what type of education. Like every school's diploma is not the same. So like what level you're on. So I think that's something that I always look at that, and I think that's something that people got to look at too when you're going and recruiting a kid. Like, yeah, you might be the first one to offer them, but that just might mean you were the first one to see them, or like that doesn't mean that's the kid you should kind of be targeting. If that makes sense. Like that could be a kid that's not your level. You know what I mean? Like same thing applied. Even though it's college, same thing applied when I did. When I was doing AAU, you got to recruit for AAU. Like I'm not gonna. If I was an independent program, I'm not calling Theo Pinson. Like I can't get him. That's not my level. You know what I mean? That's not the level I'm playing on. So, you know what I mean? It's just, I think, I think it's kind of just levels to it, man. But I know it's frustrating when it happens, but I think it's more so frustrating when it happens at a level that you're on the same level. Like if I'm in on a kid first and I like him and I offer him, and then he ends up going to Lewisburg, we're on the same level. If I'm talking to a kid and I see him first and I offer and I'm liking him, and then Hutchinson from Kansas comes and gets him, I can't be mad at that.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, well, first of all, I mean, if Hutchinson comes in, that means you got to be like really close to or big time. I mean, I think it just speaks to, just as a side note, junior college basketball is a really good spot for those that really want to continue playing. Like, and if you're good enough to play college basketball, but no D2, D3, D1 are looking at you and all that, junior college basketball programs can really help you get there as long as you put in the work, at least from my vantage point.
For sure, man. It was a kid that was a part of the program that I don't remember him even playing in high school, let alone playing and doing anything, significant in terms of production on the court. But he ended up playing in the program and having the type of career where, he was nominated for different awards. And he was he led junior college basketball Division II in a statistical category, after his sophomore year. That's nothing but hard work. You know what I mean? So absolutely, man, I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that junior college, especially if they put together this one-time waiver transfer rule, that junior college is going to have to be a bigger option and for high school seniors who are not necessarily guaranteed big name prospects, or even just guys who coaches don't feel like this guy can build my program enough just off of their high school film or high school career.
Yeah, listen, man. Listen, it's kind of, it's kind of a system in a sense, but at the same time, man, like some people don't even realize that there's four-year schools that stash kids at junior college, specific ones, with the intent of, when a scholarship opens, or when you put on 15 pounds, or when you get a year of playing experience, now you're ready to come help me immediately. So then we'll bring you on. Junior college, man, people don't realize that junior college can be used a number of different ways. It just kind of depends on what your options are and what you're open to. And that's something that, I really hope, in my time in junior college, that I can at least be a small part of helping push, out there, that junior college is not just for kids who don't have grades. Or junior college is not just where you go if you don't have an opportunity that you want, at whatever level that you want. I think that now the way recruiting is, and, at a 4-year level, you got to win, and that's the business of it. It's bottom line. You got to win. So whoever that they can get that's going to help them win and ultimately keep their job and not have their family relocate to another city, that's who they're going to go get. So if that's a grad transfer, that's a grad transfer. If that's a dude that's played 2 years at a mid-major and averaged 17 points a game, then that's who that person is. So it does. It's a trickle down. It affects high school kids, and now we're seeing, you got the post-grad option. Yeah, but I think junior college, man, coaches are recruiting junior college, even more now because it's the next step up from their game, from the college game. And I think it's the opportunity to kind of just prove you can play at the college level. So I think it's been recruited even more and more. I love what the kid L. Ellis from Durham.
Yep.
I love what he's doing, man. If he end up seeing this, shout out to you, man. Like, I think he's a big part of helping push, the junior college thing forward too, man. Like, that dude got 35 something, offers in everywhere, so Juke, good, man. It's good.
And
heck, you look at Jay Scrub as well. Jay Scrub going straight from JUCO to the NBA. I mean, we don't know if he's going to be picked or not, but still, that to even be in consideration is pretty crazy. When that kind of just breaks the mold of what everyone thinks JUCO is.
Yeah.
Look, you seen that kid play? He getting picked, brother.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's definitely getting picked. He has to, right? I mean, it's in the pudding. Like, it's on film. You can see it. Like, he's
ready. He's ready.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes, like we were just talking about, sometimes people in the NBA don't have the same eyes as everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah, people, some people are blind where others can see, it happens. but Kyle, you got anything else?
I did want to go back a little bit into the AAU thing.
Yeah.
You coached with Red Storm, which is now, I think it's former now, because I think they absorbed into Team Curry, if I'm correct.
No, they're not absorbing. So I coached with a couple programs. Red Storm was I was 1/3 of the Red Storm program. Me and two of my friends from childhood, we started that program up. So I was 1/3 of that. We did that we probably played about 6 or 7 full seasons of Red Storm. And then I coached with 2 other programs. I coached with Team Wall for 1 summer. So I did that, but it's not getting absorbed. The other 2 guys that helped me, we all created Red Storm together, us 3. Those 2 guys are coaching with Team Curry now. So we're just not having a Red Storm program. And I'm kind of like me where I am. I'm trying to really – this is the first summer that I won't be coaching AAU. So I'm trying to dive myself all the way 100% into putting everything I got into helping build the Wake Tech program. From just being known, locally to maybe regionally and then nationally. For however long I'm there, I want to help make it as big of a program as it can be. So I'm putting most of my energy into that, all of it.
So there won't be like if there is a chance to bring it back, would you bring it back this summer? Bring back Red Storm?
No, not this summer, and probably, we may, because I can't do anything Red Storm without those guys. We all started it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
There's some possibility to do some other things with it, with the Red Storm brand. There's some possibility to do some other things with it, camps and different like that, that we always talk about. But just in terms of AAU, man, I'm a believer that, everything has its time, and things run their course. We started Red Storm in a time when, it was a little bit easier for independent programs. Right now, man, as the years went on, it just got harder and harder to be able to compete at a level where you can be relevant and not have, a sponsorship or shoe deal and stuff like that. So I just feel like, I'm pretty sure we all do just feel like we had a good time. It ran its course. We had a good time with it. We did some things that, we're going to be remembered for in terms of, around this area with AAU. But I think going forward, whatever they're doing, with AAU, and then, if I decide to get back into AAU, which I'm definitely not closed-minded to that, I don't think it'll be under a Red Storm umbrella, man. I think we went out on a good note, and I think we just want to kind of let whatever, bit of legacy that we did with that, I think we want to just let it rest.
I think you guys did a great job, too. You guys did an awesome job.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Because y'all had Chris Clemens, correct?
We had Chris for a summer. He played with Gunner Road. Then he played with us as a sophomore. And then we didn't have a team the next year, so he played with WCBA for his 17U. We had his brother for a couple of summers, Carly Clemens.
Yeah.
Carly jump over the damn basket, man. Carly.
Nah, like real talk, like this.
We had him.
But I'm sorry, Juwann, you got anything else?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I was just talking about how Carly Clemens was that man was just a beast. Like, real talk.
He was nasty, man. He was good for us too. He was good.
Did you have who else was on your squad again? I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
We had Gary Clark played with us for 2 summers before going to CP3 for 17U. We had guys like Deshaun Freeman from Rocky Mount, Josh Dawson from Kinston, Denzel Key.
Yeah.
Who else did we have? And we had a bunch of guys. That was in the earlier days.
Yep.
And then fast forward, like the very last summer we did it. You know, DJ Thompson played with us from Broughton. We had a lot of guys, man. It's too many to name, and I'll leave so many dudes out, and I don't want them to think they weren't important to us. But
people get mad if you leave them out, Juwann. You know that.
Exactly. But you know what, man? We ran for about like 6 summers, and we had 2 and 3 teams every summer. So there's no way I can name all them guys, man. We had a lot of guys that we were at least a small part of them going on and playing at the next level. So that's something that, you know, I'll never forget. And I'm sure, you know, my friends that we did the program together, I'm sure that's something experience-wise they'll never forget either.
Absolutely, man.
Now, my last question is going to be, what was probably the craziest experience that you had in the AAU level, either from a positive standpoint or from a negative standpoint?
So I'll give 2. From a not really negative. I mean, it's just something that happens. We were at a Big Shots tournament. This was back when they could have events at at VCU. I think it's the City Center. I'm not sure. There was a team. We played a team like Baltimore. Team from Baltimore. Man, they got in a full-fledged. This is one of the few times I've seen they got in a full-fledged brawl. I think one of the kids snuck the referee, and a riot started on their court or whatever. They ended up clearing out the whole building. It was crazy. It was crazy. And then probably just positive, man, was I just remember our Super Showcase runs, man. We would go to Super Showcase. You know, we weren't fortunate enough to be able to go to Las Vegas at the end of the summer. So we would always make our last trip and go to Orlando to the AAU Super Showcase and play. And we had some special runs down there, man, even to the last, you know, the final team that we took down there that had Odio Guama and Drayvon Mangum and those guys. You know, we had another run the next year, but I know the year we took Gary and Deshaun and those guys, Denzel Keys from Kinston, we ended up losing the game before the Final Four to Arkansas Wings, who had Bobby Portis at the time, who went on to play for the we lost by 4 points. And they had Bobby Portis and Moses Kingsley, who went to Arkansas.
Yeah,
and they had
he was good.
Yeah, they were Arkansas Wings, EYBL, and here we are with some, you know, stitch-on jerseys and, you know, no name. They're like, who is that? But I promise you, it was special because Gary Clark and Deshaun Freeman was getting busy. So it was special, man. We lost by 4. We didn't quite pull it out, but that year we finished 6th in the country in terms of AAU for that event when the rankings came out, and that was the highest for a North Carolina team. So that was special. That was 2013.
Wow.
Oh, that's lit.
I think that's a great story to end on. I think the street lights came on, so I think
that's the cue, right?
Yeah, the street lights just came on. Yeah. So, Juwann,
street lights on. Better get in the house for your mama get you.
Hey, you taking me back to my 9-10-year-old.
Just came on, and my mama's in the streets telling me to come home. I just dropped something. But Juwann Baker, thank you so much for joining us. I hope to come see you guys at the Triangle Challenge again this summer, as long as everything, clears up.
Right.
But where can they find you on social media, man?
On Twitter, I think is at I_do_it_ and then 4, like the number 4, y'all, YALL. And then on Instagram, it's Coach J, WTCC. So Coach J, Wake Tech Community College on IG.
That's thank you for that. That's what's up. Kai, you got anything else?
No, that's really it, man. We appreciate you coming on, man. And sharing some knowledge.
Actually, one more thing. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's right here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers, so give us some love on there. You know where to find me and Kyle on social media, and WJG Sports as well. The podcast can be found on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other platforms, so you know where to find us. Juwann, again, thank you very much. Kai, for Kai Jones and Juwann Baker, I'm Laika Habibi. This is the Just Like Brothers podcast, and we'll see you again next time. Peace.